So I went out earlier and I did some filming with the DJI Action 3 camera, and then the SD card started giving me trouble. So I've just been into to Curry's over there to buy a new SD card and put that into the what is it called, DJI Osmo Action 3 camera. So I'm hoping that that works now. It was coming up with a warning, so I need to do a card format and get that sorted. But basically I have got a different bike again. I've got a 2015 R1200RT yesterday, because the older R1150RT that I have as a sort of planned project is beginning to cost me money, and it's going to take it over the possible value of the bike. So I'm thinking I'll probably sell that. I just put brand new tyres on it, and I do everything in completely the wrong order. Brand new tyres on it, brand new battery in it. Tyres on that better than on this. They're good on this, but they're not like as brand new as the other one. So yes, I'll get on the bike when I've done my formatting and hopefully just talk a little bit more about it then. So I'm hoping now that this is recording and that it's also recording sound. We'll find out when I get back and have a look. But yeah, got the new SD card in there now. Also got this new tank bag here today. A little givey, whatever you call them, tank bag. So we are back on the bike, this time the R1200RT 2015 model, and it is pretty nice to get on a bike where it feels reliable and you're not sort of thinking, is it going to break down, is it getting too hot, is the clutch working properly, is the battery charging. I mean, with the older RT, I was certainly thinking all of those things, and probably most of those things were just in my head because it had broken down before. So the big issue with that bike is that it is 21 years old, and the best price that those bikes are fetching is about £3,000. I spent £1,650 buying it, but I had to travel all the way down to Newcastle under Lyne to buy it. So it was like I think I paid a taxi 170 quid. So, and then the following day, because they didn't give me the panniers, I had to drive down and collect those. So that was like, what, another 70 quid in fuel. So best part of £2,000 just getting the bike in the first place. Then I put a battery on it, 100 quid. New tyres, 368 quid. All the mirror glasses and the insides to them was another 180 quid. So I've sort of spent best part of £3,000 on that bike already, and it would be going in on the 12th of May for a full service and check over for another sort of 500 quid. So it does worry me that I'm going to be just spending way too much money on a very old bike, and because I always get to the point where I like a bike to be able to be reliable enough to go very, very long distances, you know, say touring around Europe or whatever, or even just up and down the UK without sort of thinking, well, it's going to break down. And while I've got taken out AA cover, so I'm covered not just for my car but also any of the bikes I'm on, which is great, I don't really want to be going out on a bike on the basis that I have breakdown cover, and I prefer to go out on a bike that it's likely it's not going to break down. So that's why I bought this one. It's obviously cost me a lot more money. It's 2015 model. It is the R1200RT. It's the exact same bike that I had back in 2015 when I bought one of these brand new I liked it then, I still like it now. It's a great bike. It's done 21,000 miles when I bought it. It's sort of 21,257 now. It's got things like heated grips, heated seat, central locking, places to charge things. It hasn't got the audio system in it, but frankly I would never use that anyway if it did. I can always get a helmet, and we'll talk a little bit about helmets in just a minute, because I did think about buying a new helmet, a new shoe berth helmet, because I found these to be really, really comfortable, and these modular helmets are pretty good, particularly if you wear glasses. You can sort of flip them up and put them on far more easily. So I had a little look in J&S in Leeds, where they had them in stock, which was great to start with. I mean, I don't know if they had my size, but they certainly had several of them on the shelves, which is kudos to them for actually having some stock of sort of the more expensive helmets as well as the budget ones. But I couldn't really believe how much money they were charging. Now, whether it's just that particular store or whether that's the going rate for these helmets now, I've no idea, but £638 just for the helmet. Now, that's not with the intercom. My God, look at the state of this road. Jesus, these roads are getting absolutely terrible. So yes, £638 for just the helmet with no intercom system. I mean, that is just crazy. Couldn't believe it. You know, nowhere, I can't remember. I mean, I've always remembered buying helmets that are £400 plus, but 638, and then the intercom's about another 200 quid. So you're sort of talking like, well, again, you're going on for like, what is it, 900 quid? I mean, come on. That is just a bit much, isn't it, for a helmet? So I said no, I'm not getting one, and I'll stick with this one for another year or so. I mean, it's while I've had it for some time now, I haven't used it that much in the last 4 years, so it probably does degrade to a degree, but it's not been exposed to sunshine and UV and all those things that normally help to degrade the plastic that it's made out of, the shell. Nor has the inside really taken much of a use. So I mean, I think it'll go quite well for another year. No point in spending money for the sake of it. I've done enough of that in the last year or so, but that's another story. So I'm very happy with this bike. It seems to be working perfectly well. It rides just like the new one I remembered having back in 2015. It's a boxer engine. It's got that kind of character that these BMW twin boxer engines bikes have, which is kind of like lots of torque. It's like a kind of a nice kind of, it's like this kind of resonance as you're just going up with the gas, and you feel it. You do feel that light vibration through the bars and everything from the engine, but that's all part of what feels to me like the character. It's not like a vibration that kind of numbs your hands or anything like that. It's kind of the true feeling of the engine working. And again, the colour of it is great, and the fact that the top box and the side panniers are all with it, and there are no scratches on them, and the paintwork, there's only one little chip on the entire paintwork, and you can see it hasn't been resprayed. It's all original. Somebody has looked after it. Looks like a doctor had this bike before me, had all of the servicing done, and it was actually serviced just in March. So I'm going to take it into Bradford to Graham's Motorcycles on the 12th of May, but I'll have to ring him on Monday and explain that I'm not doing that with the other RT now, with the 1150, and instead I'm going to be taking this one in, and rather than having the whole deal, I'll probably look at what hasn't been done on the service for a while and maybe have that done, whether it's like spark plugs or whatever needs doing. But yeah, very pleased with it. It's a very capable bike. It's one that will go for a long distance. The only thing about this, actually, the sort of weird thing, I suppose, when you think about the evolution of these RTs, you would think they'd make them more comfortable. One thing that I found, and I did remember this from when I had one before, the R1150RT seat, it's actually made of very supple and soft leather. I think these ones are made of like vinyl, but also they put like shoulders at either side of the edge of the seat, and where those shoulders are, you kind of get this like ridge that presses up into your inner thighs, whereas on the R1150RT you get this nice rounded seat. And you know, there's some like, oh well, discussion about if you're going longer distances it's not as good to have a rounded seat. Well, personally, I was on that bike for a couple of hours at a time and had no problems with the seat. With this, I can be on it for just an hour and I can feel it. Those ridges are pushing into my thighs now. It's not dreadful, but it's not comfortable. It's just not a comfortable seat. I even considered, was it possible to remove the seat, the front seat, from the 1150 and use it on this? Which is crazy, isn't it? But so some things, when they develop these new models over the years, and I suspect they've probably even gone further now and put stitching in, a bit like the GS in that seam affair, where, you know, it's probably far easier for them, cheaper for them, to stitch 3 pieces of vinyl together rather than having, you know, the shape in 2 different angles, 2 different planes. Look at it, it's beautiful around here. I think this is somewhere in this area near to Leeds Bradford Airport, but we're going over to Keighley from this area, so I think we go through some really nice countryside from memory, maybe even a military training camp, I can't remember, or maybe I'm on a different road in my mind. But yeah, some really nice roads around here. And I'm not going to be racing. I realise there's a fairly slow Discovery in front of us, but I'm not going to be racing around because, well, I'm just not in the mood really. I mean, this bike is pretty capable. It could go, you know, do the speed limit easily, but some of these roads, me not being as familiar with biking, not having done a lot of it recently, not being in the groove, being on a big bike on a road that I'm not totally familiar with, not really the sort of recipe for... Now, is he actually turning left, or is he wanting me to overtake him here? We're doing 30 degrees anyway, 30 degrees. We're going to go into a 30 mile an hour limit anyway, so it's not as if overtaking would be any point. This is where we test the brakes out on a bike that I bought yesterday. I'm pretty sure they'll do the job. Leave it in a lowish gear anyway. Might pop it up a gear just to free the engine up a bit. But what else has this bike got? It's got really good luggage. The 2 side panniers already at home. I have the original BMW inner cases or inner bags that go inside that fit these two panniers, because again I bought them back when I had the new one back in 2015, so they will fit perfectly well. I didn't get one for the top box because I always like to use my top box space. If I stop for a burger or something, I kind of almost use that area to quickly access things, but also to stand and put my, Coca-Cola in and burger bag in and stand and eat and use it as a bit of a kind of almost mobile table. So I wouldn't want to, unless I was going abroad on a longer trip or something, or doing a distance, where maybe I'd get the top box bag, but probably not even then. And the top box is the big original expensive BMW one. They're all central locking as well, which is handy, but it's got even got a little light in the back and little gas struts to lift the lid. Painted in the same colour scheme as the bike, so it's all matching. And huge, you can get 2 full-sized helmets in there and stuff around them. So it's a significantly sized storage set with the 2 panniers and the top box. Then I've also got the a BMW hold-all, which is designed to go on the back seat and strap down to the various places, I suppose, at the back of the bike, but certainly could use the grab handles at the back or any part of the frame. But it comes with all of that kit with those straps, so that goes on. That's huge. That's about, probably capacity wise, I don't know, 75 litres or something. It's a significant sized hold-all. So if I was going on any kind of trips with this, which I may do next year when I retire early, I may go around Europe a little bit on it, I will have all of the luggage already, all of the biking gear already, just to sort of set off, because I've got it all in the past. And while over the years I've thought, I'm going to sell that on eBay, surely I can get some money for that rather than keeping it, I haven't, and therefore I've still got it all. I'm just using it because I've got it. Now, the only one thing I did buy today was this Givi or GV, depending on how you pronounce it, tank bag, because this bike came, when I got it yesterday, with that tank lock ring on it. It's a shame it didn't come with the SW Motec tank lock ring on, because I've got 3 tank bags that would go straight on here already. Now I know that somewhere in my house, shed or loft or garage, I've got the tank bag ring that goes onto this particular model, because I had it on my previous model. I found the long bolts, I found the spacers, I found everything that I need apart from the blooming sort of plastic ring itself, which would have meant that I could have used the other tank bags. But I relented today and I thought, well, it's got the Givi one on, I'll go and get one of those. So I bought this little one here, which is just ideal for putting phone, wallet, bits and pieces in. I think I showed you a little bit earlier, assuming the camera worked. And what else can I say about it? Not a great deal, really. It's good condition, relatively low mileage for a bike of 2015, particularly a BMW Boxer, and runs perfectly well. I think about 45 miles per gallon on the fuel. Useful to have things like heated grips and heated seat. I very rarely use a heated seat, but it is one thing that you have if it just gets that little bit sort of chilly around the seat. heater grips too, if it gets cold on the hands. So, and the good thing is with these fairings the way they are, you get very little wind over your hands. I mean, this is a good kind of like spring and autumn bike where, you know, the temperature, or maybe even kind of late and early winter bike when it's just too cold, but not like, you know, you can go out on it. It's got cruise control as well, so you can just set the cruise control and then you can free your hand up from the throttle. Of course, that's mainly sort of for motorway use, so we'll turn that off again. It's got the auto shifter. I don't think it's called the Gear Shift Assist Pro, or it used to be on BMW. I don't think, and I did a video on that back on the channel on a GS Adventure. I think that was back in 2015 too. And they're not quite as good as the one that they've got on the Multistrada, let's put it that way. It works, kind of, most of the time. Sort of alright. It doesn't like it in lower gears. Multistrada worked, I'm going to say 3 times better in my experience. So I just thought I would do this little video just to test out a couple of things. One, the new SD card that I've just had to buy because the previous SD card, even though I spent time this morning doing recordings, I think failed. It was coming up with a big orange message on the DJI action camera screen saying writing to SD card slowly or slow or something. So I mean, I'm putting it down to and assuming it was the SD card. So I literally went into Curry's and checked the list on the DJI website to see which ones they recommended for this particular camera, and made sure I got one that they recommended. So I'm hoping now it's a 256GB one, should have plenty of space on it, and it should be, well, it should work. And a lot of the trip today has unfortunately been in traffic. So because I've kind of got up to Ripon and then realised my camera wasn't recording, so a lot of the nicer parts of the run have been lost. I then realised that it was something to do with the SD card, so I went back towards Harrogate again, and by the time I got the card, really there's not a lot of the nicer parts of the run left between Harrogate, Keighley, where we've just been here, and where I live. But what I'll do is I'll just leave it running for a bit. I might speed it up a bit, but thank you very much for calling in and watching. Hopefully I'll be out on the BMW R1200RT and going on a few runs, maybe going to a couple of bike shows or bike events or something like that, depending what's coming up in the next month of May. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, ride safe if you ride bikes, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.